Sidra, we can't hear you.
I just asked her to go live a bit though.
Acha.
One second.
Please tell me
Okay.
when we can start.
Yeah, we're live.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so hello and assalamu alaikum. I, Shansa Ahmed, Isha Keel, and Sidra Kamran are here to present the fourth Sustainable Development Goal, which is quality education. Before we start our detailed discussion about it, Sidra, could you please tell me about the importance of education in itself?
Well, yes. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So, firstly, I think that the concept of education is misunderstood among us. So, the main problem is that the main issue is that the education is not merely for earning bread for your family and all. Education is something that is necessary for you for the awareness and for the knowledge, because I think that in order to proceed in this world you have to know about the past and you have to educate yourself in order to proceed, in order to have a bright future. So you have to learn from your past. So this is what education is meant for. Education is meant for learning from the past experiences so that you can implement them in your future and you can head towards a better life. So education is not an optional thing. Education is something necessary. So the nations who recognize this importance of education, who consider education as a necessary part of their life, those nations are here prospering. They're having 100% to 99% literacy rate. You can see on the table on the chart that France, UK, US, Japan, China, they are Uzbekistan, and like they are having 99 to 100% literacy rate, while the other countries like the third world countries, um, that's so unfortunate to say that they merely think education as a source of earning and all. That is the reason why they are still lacking behind with 30 to 25% literacy rate, which is sadly very worse situation that could happen to any nation or any country. So yes, I think that on the other hand, education is the source to fight against everything that every negative factor that is there in the society. Like for instance, if it's a thing about poverty, the crime rate, if there will be literacy, high literacy, people will get jobs, they will be skilled, and they will know, they have the knowledge to of what to do and what not to do. For instance, like in the third world countries, we see that there is a huge issue of high birth rate. Like in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, the population is very high. People are not aware about the family planning and all that, and they are not focused towards education. Their children they earn at early ages, and they think that the only part of life is earning and all that. So I think that it counts a lot. Education is merely it deals with all these things, all these perspectives of life. So and especially I have read a quote somewhere that education is the most powerful weapon. And yes, I don't think so that anyone can deny from this fact, because education is actually a powerful weapon. We can fight against terrorism, wave of terrorism that is all around. Only education is the source to fight against it. Or after this age of industrialization, we see that education has played a very vital role. Like over the years there is a progress that is seen in education in many countries, but still there are some nations who are lacking education. They still need to focus on this, and I think that the developed nations, they have to help in those underdeveloped or third world countries to cope up with, or to get out of the situation. Thank you.
Well said, Sidra. Isha, can you please elaborate the topic and at least give us an overview of it?
Yes, of course. So quality education is a goal that is executed globally. There's a set target ensured that by 2030, each and every child receives equitable and quality primary and secondary education. It breaks barriers by omitting all possibilities of gender and wealth discrimination. Every boy and girl should have the same right to the same level of education. Similarly, it doesn't matter if a child is from a rural or urban area, they too deserve equal level of education. And amidst this term of quality education, there are many sub aims, which, to name a few, are providing access to technical supplies, or, as Sidra mentioned, about literacy. Improving that for sure will benefit many aspects. As someone who loves economics, I believe that literacy is an area of achieving economic growth. Obviously, it will take years before we see the results, but gradually it can benefit the society to an extent where even other sustainable development goals are fulfilled because of it. So, to name a few, I think improvements in zero hunger or no poverty or even life below and above water can be improved, all because of the fact that the society is sane enough to make sensible decisions for the benefit of our society. Other aims are to provide education for sustainable development, and I believe that it is a great initiative to promote skill-based education. Then there's obviously building schools to mass educate and providing scholarships, and goals like this can help benefit the greater goal, which is quality education.
Okay. So, Sidra, you mentioned about literacy rates. So, one of the sub goals of quality education is that we need to provide equal education, equal pre-primary education in particular around. So, how do you think we can give equal access to pre-primary education to the students who are living in areas of lower literacy rates? For example, South Sudan or Afghanistan or Mali, all of them have literacy rates less than 45%. Remember, we need to compare them to the areas like Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, and they have almost 99% of knowledge available. So, how do you think we will cover the difference?
Um, well, I think that on the very first hand, I'm audible, right?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yes, you're
Okay, so on the very first hand, I think that discrimination is the root cause of every problem. Like we see that there's a huge discrimination that is still in the society. We do talk about equality, we do have some movements, but still there is a lot of a wave of discrimination that is still in the society. Discrimination on the basis of race, color, caste, your ethnic background, your religion, your country. There's a huge discrimination in the society still to date. Yeah, a few centuries back the situation was worse, but I can say that the steps have been taken to for the betterment of the situation, but still there's a huge difference that, and there are certain steps that needs to be taken in this sense. So I think that until and unless we work on these factors like completely abolishing all these discrimination and all the factors that are the root cause of discrimination. For instance, if you belong to if you're a black, then you there are certain seats that are allocated for such people, right? So this should not be there. Everything should be on merit. Everyone should be given chance, and I think that the best way to deal with this is that uh, education should be for free or in the developing countries because those people they're not able to actually the main problem is that their priority is not education. So when they do not prioritize education, then how and why will they spend a huge amount sum of money on education? So, on the very first hand, they must be made aware about the importance of education. Parents must be educated in the very first hand because until and unless parents are not educated, they do not know about the importance of education. I don't think so that any step can be taken for the betterment of their children. So, on the very initial step and the very fundamental step that needs to be taken is educating parents because. According to a study of the United Nations, there are 20% children in the age group of 6 till 17 who are uneducated. They are not given the facility to go to schools or any other place to educate themselves. So how can we expect a better future if 20% of our population is not getting the right to education? So I think that when we will make education free for everyone, or at least we will give them some opportunities to get better education. We're going to set some schools on the same standard as there in the developing countries. They will be able to come up with better futures. They will be the future doctors, future engineers, and they will have a bright future as well. So I think that this discriminating factor must be abolished in the very first time, because this is the root cause of every problem. Each and every problem that is in a society is caused by this discrimination, whether it's on the basis of anything. There should be a whole system of merit and equal opportunities that should be provided to each and every person, no matter to which country, to which religion, to which ethnic background you belong to, or to whatever your caste or your culture is. You should be given the right, you should have the equal opportunity to stand and compete with everyone who is there. And especially, I think that there is one more element that I forgot to mention in the that importance of education, that there's a grading criteria that is followed all over. So I think that that is the moment when children, they feel as if they are less than someone when there's competition. There shouldn't be that way. Everyone must be given. Everyone is special in different sense. Everyone is special. Everyone has some capabilities, and instead of forcing something on someone, we should let them do what they want and what they think is better for them. So I think if opportunities, equal opportunities, and the discrimination is uh, finished from all these backgrounds in the underdeveloped countries, so they'll be getting a better options to educate themselves.
Okay, Sidra, you talked about prioritizing education and as well giving a free education, and parents should also be educated, so they would prioritize education for their children. These are the things we can do, but what do you think that we are lacking in while providing quality education in specific?
Well, again, I would like to repeat the same thing what I said earlier, that when you talk about providing quality education, then quality education means equality. It talks about equality. It provided a standard form of education to everyone, no matter to which background you belong to. Why is this discrimination based on the background you belong to? You have nothing to do with this. If this person is skilled, then he has the right to get this job. No matter to he is black, white, Asian, African, whatever he is. This is not the concern of the educational department. They must be given equal rights in the underdeveloping countries. We must set the developed nations must help to in the United Nations. They all must work collaboratively to provide them equal opportunities so that they can come up with better options. And in the developing countries, like you mentioned, I think Sweden. Yeah. So in those countries, the children are very weak physically. They are not getting the enough health opportunities as well. So, when according to the study, if you are weak physically, you won't be able to grab anything or learn anything. So, your mental capabilities will be affected because of your physical health. So, I think that on the very first hand, they must be provided with uh, better physical uh, health issues must be resolved in the very first hand, so that they can turn out towards better performance in the educational fields.
And I would like to add on a question.
Yeah.
And so, Shanti, you asked where we lack in education, right? I believe that there's a required set of skills that any organization asks for, and that is very different from the education that we are imparting these days. Our approach hasn't been on practicality, which is asked for in recent years, and I'm sure in the coming years as well. We're focused more on knowledge, which I admit is equally important, but not to an extent where we lose our own set of conclusions, right? So, when I was interning at Markaz-e-Umeed, which is the organization where we got to know about this conference, I found out that they not only teach students the knowledge, they don't only give knowledge, but they also teach them live how to live practically, right? How to earn for themselves, how to live accordingly. We're not in Markaz-e-Umeed, I saw that they were developing critical thinking, soft skills, and communication and collaboration, which is amazing. We don't find that in the education we receive. We're not developing skills like critical thinking, which is very essential. And if I was to delve deeper into soft skills, I would say that um, we should learn from countries like Netherlands that has allowed their student body the freedom to study from whatever they want to, right? They've given them the room to explore themselves, to indulge themselves into activities that they're interested in. But we are so accustomed to learn the theory, we gain the knowledge, and it is important, but not to an extent where that knowledge is the only sole reason why we're studying, right? So yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say.
Yes, Isha, I totally agree. So we talked about the role of parents, we talked about the role of UN and the role of developed countries in promoting education in developing areas. Let's go a bit small scale right now. So how do you think that trained staffs and the teachers can help to eliminate discrimination that you were talking about, Sidra, and keep the school environment safe for all the students? We can also think about it like that. Um, you talked about skills. How can they develop skills in their students? And I think only trained teachers can do that. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think that when we talk about trained teachers, we need to specify which sort of training we are actually talking about, because the training is the definition of trained teachers differ from region to region or from nation to nation. But in my view, a teacher in general is a role model of every student. The first person who we all admire and we all learn from the very beginning. If I talk about my childhood, my teacher was my first role model. So I think that being a role model, teacher is the one uh, who is looked upon by the students. So teacher must shape her character in a way that she she must be the best example of a role model as one should be. So first of all, discipline is the most important factor that counts when it comes to education, or when it comes to simple principles of living, because discipline is a factor that talks about how to shape the personality of a person. Because uh, trained teacher is the one who teaches the students about discipline. Discipline is very important in all the aspects of life, not only when you're talking about going to school or something like that, but discipline in general is very important to live your life for your future. And for instance, if you lack discipline in your past, that's not the matter. You can learn from your past experiences and from whatever that happened in the past. But in future, um, discipline is one of the most important thing that must be taught by the teachers. And apart from that, they must tell the students about how to control oneself and how to manage things, because a great teacher is the one who can guide the students better, because management is a thing that we learn from our school and from the different occasions at our schools, different events. So I think a trained teacher is responsible for all these things. She is the instructor, she is the mentor of the student. So our instructions should be in a way that should shape the personality of the student in the best possible way. So I hope that I was able to answer your question right.
Yes, that did.
Uh,
Um,
can I
so
add?
you,
Yeah,
yeah, yes,
yeah.
Isha.
Okay. Thank you. So I agree. I completely agree with what Sidra said, because teachers are the ones that groom us to an extent um, where we shape ourselves. Right? They're the most major support in our grooming, and I think that also schools should take initiatives in addressing moral values as well as maybe as a subject, because that is also important and it isn't being taught as widely as it should be. If you're taking example of a Japanese public school, they do not have for a single day they do not have janitors, and the students are accustomed to do it themselves. I think that's also important for the students' psychological, you can say, or their they should be inclined enough to learn about these things as well, so that they can be groomed in such a way where their personality is shaped accordingly. That's about it.
Okay, so I agree. So to make trained teachers available, we need to increase the supply of qualified and trained teachers. So how do you think we can increase the supply of qualified teachers in developing countries? Will you increase the bar of eligibility criteria that one can be able to be a teacher, or make sure they attend a specific course, or understand the student's philosophy? Because that's very important when it comes to teaching. You need to understand a particular like philosophy or psychology of students, like how they will react in a particular situation, and if they will be comfortable or not. So what do you think will be the eligibility criteria, or how will you make sure that the supply of qualified teachers and trained teachers increases in developing countries?
I couldn't hear the first part of your question. You weren't very audible. I don't know what you said.
Okay, so I repeated, how can one increase the supply of trained and qualified teachers in developing countries? Will you increase the bar of eligibility, because or like ask teachers to attend a course and understand psychology of students? Will you do this, or increase bar of eligibility, or what other things you can do to make sure that the supply of trained and better teacher increases in these schools, or in developing countries specifically?
Okay, so I think I'll answer it. I agree that if we're to give I think responsibility lies with the students as well. Teachers, yes, there's a big hand for in terms of what how they teach it, but it's also students' responsibility to try to understand their teacher, and it's also true that teachers should try to teach their students where students can provide equal and enthusiastic responses. So it's best if teachers do take trainings, I think, and they should continue to, so that education is provided in the right way, I think. I hope that answers some part of your question.
That's okay. So I think it comes to the last question. How do you think our society or you have contributed to the quality education?
Should I take this? Okay. So first, you've asked about contributions, right? What I heard,
Yes,
I
yes,
heard.
yes, yes, yes. I did ask about contribution, your society or your contribution in quality education.
Okay, so personally, my most recent contribution was at Markaz-e-Umeed last summer, where we taught students not only subjects but certain skills that would help them succeed in the future. We also met kids that were already there who supported themselves and their families, I think institutions and organizations like these give hope to many for a better future. Providing the right facilities in times of need is the best way to prevail, I think. And I've seen the people of our society, they're equally inclined to participate and help if they're aware of it. If I am to give you an example, my college had this Gilgit Revival project where a group of students traveled to the northern areas to build a six-room school for girls. These students that went to help bore their expenses themselves and made be of accommodation or food. This project was very successful, and it was so successful that there was a Gilgit Project 2.0, which was another one to build another school. So I think when we are asked to contribute in any form of education advice or any other way, it's best if we promote it that way so that others are also inclined to help. Besides that, I think that there are small things that matter a lot when we're talking about contributions. Um, at school, there used to be book weeks, and there was a day assigned where we donated at least a book each. So each one of us students had to donate a book. This, in the end, amounted to a significant number of collection, and so a significant number of books were collected. And so, steps like these, I think, are very important because a small change from us would also benefit someone greatly. That's about it. Yeah.
It's good to hear that we as a society are contributing to quality education because that is one of the major things that will lead to a successful future of our society. I think that's it for our discussion on quality education. Isha, Sidra, if you want to add on anything, you can, apart from the questions I did.
Well, I think that I'm audible, right? All right. So I think that I'm done with most of the points, but again, I want to mention that over the decades, we have seen that there has been marvelous changes that have observed in this educational field, but still there is a lot more to be done. Like, for instance, as I mentioned earlier, that still 20% of the world population, the children of this world are not getting the access to schools during the age of 6 to 17. We have seen that over the years, only the nations who have given importance to education were able to excel in this world. So I think that education is the solution for each and every problem. No matter what the problem is, the solution and the ultimate goal should be seeking education that can turn the world into a much better place to live in. Thank you.
I think that's about it. I
Okay, thank you so much.
thank
That's
you.
about it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for asking questions. Okay, I think that's about it. I guess we'll just sleep, right?